You're welcome to the Independence Day edition of your primetime news bulletin here on Joy News on Multi TV. Coming up, President Mahama described 57th Independence Day parade as most eventful as rain disrupts celebrations at Independence Square and leaves many, including hundreds of school children, drenched. The president, meanwhile, is continuing to urge Ghanaians to patronize made-in-Ghana goods. In Tamale, in the northern region, the paramount chief has vowed to boycott all government functions after he was frustrated from entering the region's parade grounds. MPP's 2012 flag bearer Nana Akufo-Addo assures party supporters he will soon communicate his decision on whether to run for the party's flag bearership slot for 2016. And in the spirit of Independence Day, we trace the evolution of music of Ghanaian origin, from high life to hip life and beyond in showbiz. There's also Independence Day business, which also suffered some disruption due to the rainstorm, sports and international news. Stay tuned.
News at 8 with Israel Live.
It has not been normal for rainstorms like this to happen at this time of the year, early in March. One would have thought that the Harmattan weather will still be in control. And so what it means, as we've often been told, is that we must implement climate change adaptability. It means that we must be better able to predict the weather. We did receive a storm warning from the Meteor Services, but we received it this morning a bit too late to put off this event. And so it means we must sharpen our ability to be able to predict how the climate and the weather is going to behave so that we can adapt to it.
A few would disagree with President Mahama when he says the 57th Independence Day parade would go down as one of the most eventful ever. Otherwise, who could have imagined the first gentleman of the land being drenched in rain in the full glare of the public, along with hundreds of school children who were dreading the heat only to take a beating from the rain? Yafuswa Jemfi has more on the Independence Day parade, which caught organizers flat-footed.
Organizers of this year's national celebration of the country's 57th Independence Day parade may have heaved a sigh of relief when the day started not with the high temperatures that characterized previous anniversary parades, but with overcast skies. It meant they no longer had to worry about heat stroke, dehydration and the usual pangs. There, however, were at least a few whose stamina let them down despite fairly tolerable temperatures. But paramedics from the Ghana Ambulance Service were equal to the task. And those who had fallen off were attended to with few first aid, with the more serious cases taken care of by the Ghana Police Service mobile clinic. But there was more to come, probably the least anticipated phenomenon for the day. After a rather uncomfortable long wait, pupils from the New Horizon Special School were among the first to be evacuated from the parade grounds as the weather was getting too cold for their feeble bodies.
There's nothing we can do here. So come, bring it.
Then pupils from other schools were made to follow suit. There were not enough blankets to go around though, and most of them had to endure the cold.
We don't have much, we have about 20, 25. But usually we have about 70 to 80 during the rehearsals. But I think today the weather is very cool for them, and I think we don't have much casualty as compared to the rehearsals periods.
But typical of children though, many saw it as an opportunity to have fun, oblivious of what effects they would subsequently have to deal with.
I'm shaking, I'm feeling cold. I'll always come whenever I'm being called to come and march.
Parents whose ward will still be reeling from the effects of the weather, meanwhile, have been asked to send them to the hospital. Yafosia Jimfi, Joy News, Independence Square, Accra.
The Meteorological Agency has denied claims it did not forecast on time the torrential rains which disrupted the 57th Independence Anniversary celebration. The President, in his Independence Anniversary address, said they had received warning of the showers too late in the morning to put off the event and charged the Meteorological Service to sharpen its ability to better predict the weather. But a weather officer at the Ghana Meteorological Agency, Richard Ajimang, has told Joy FM the President's assertions are baseless, explaining that the agency had informed NADMO of the rains about a week ago, with another warning coming through at 3 a.m. Thursday.
You know, what we do is NADMO is our main center where we fax all weather warnings and even weather forecasts.
Yeah, so Mr. Ajman, as far as the service is concerned, this was duly communicated to NADMO to be aware of the fact that it was going to rain.
Yes, and you can cross-check from NADMO if you like.
So how do you respond to allegation that you failed to do your work?
That would be that would be baseless. That would be baseless. That would be baseless.
The rains notwithstanding, the 57th Independence Anniversary parade came off, albeit under very soggy conditions.
It started out as a normal day at the Independence Square in Accra, save it was a wee bit cloudy. Students from first and second cycle institutions, as well as men and women from the security services, were poised to participate in the 57th Independence Anniversary Parade. So is it a big deal being part of the parade this morning?
Of course it is. It is.
Why is it a big deal?
Because it's an experience we are now going through for once. Now that we are here, we want to showcase what we have.
It's my first time here, and then during the training and all those stuff, it's hectic. We don't get to go to classes, so we have to do our best to show that our missing classes is not in vain.
Then came the order for the contingent to get ready for the parade. With the contingent lined up on the square, President Mahama arrives. As the President, the reviewing officer for the parade, got ready to inspect the parade, the winds grew stronger.
It's a very cloudy, and it just started raining at the Independence Square, where we are expecting President Mahama to start inspecting the contingent on the parade ground.
A rain-drenched President Mahama relocated from the presidential days for the parade to continue, though not as originally planned. The basic and second cycle school children had to march off the parade grounds, while the special forces units of the police, Air Force, Navy, and Army marched past the presidential days, emptied of the Commander-in-Chief, who would usually be taking their salute. So after about an hour and a half of rains here at the Independence Square, this is what was left behind. Canopies blown out of place, chairs given to the dignitaries left unattended to because the dignitaries could no longer even sit themselves. The Navy appears to be the last contingent that took part in the parade that is about to leave the parade grounds. But of course, the parade grounds was almost deserted by the time the rain ended, but the gallant men of the armed forces of Ghana, including their sister security agencies, stood their grounds here for an hour and a half in the rains just to pay their respects to the country as we celebrate the 57th independence anniversary. The other men and women of the security services, however, stood in the rain till the whole parade came to an end. For this officer with the Ghana Air Force, this year's parade will be a memorable one.
We have some oath we swear, and then when we are swearing, there are a whole lot of things we say, and this is just one of those things.
From all indications, this will be one independence anniversary that will be remembered by many, of course, for the rains that nearly marked the anniversary. From the Independence Square in Accra, Nia Kofi Smatabe for Joy News.
Now, the rains may have dampened celebration of the country's Independence Day, but the fearsome special forces came to the rescue, providing great inspiration through the infectious chant songs.
Some of the drenched students who seem to have been infected by the energy of the special forces sang along. Probably it was their way of keeping warm in view of the chilly weather at the square.
We express our gratitude to our gallant officers who stood in the rain despite the heavy downpour. Now, President John Dramani Mahama has charged Ghanaians to promote Made in Ghana brands in order to foster deeper patriotism and nationality amongst the citizenry. Speaking at the 57th Independence Day celebration at the Black Star Square in Accra, President Mahama said the only way Ghana can promote its own brand of products was to stop importing virtually everything from outside the country.
President John Mahama noted that aside wearing Made in Ghana clothing every Fridays, there was the need to extend such patriotism to all Ghanaian products.
Just as we purchase products that are proudly Italian, proudly Chinese, proudly Turkish, or proudly South African, there is no reason why we cannot manufacture goods that are proudly Ghanaian. If we are to be truly independent, we cannot allow our destiny to be determined by corporations, industries, or individuals who exist beyond our national borders. And that is precisely what we are doing when the majority of what we consume comes from outside.
The president added that supporting Made in Ghana products will greatly help strengthen the economy.
With every piece of clothing we wear, with every item of food we prepare for our meals, with every single thing we use, let us ask ourselves, how much of this is made in Ghana? And even important, if it was not made in Ghana, let's ask ourselves, could it have been made in Ghana? But if you ask yourself, could it have been made in Ghana? And the answer is yes. Then for the love of this country, our country, start thinking of ways in which we can transform our society and our economy by making it happen.
The president also stated that the gap between the rich and the poor must be bridged to ensure equality among all Ghanaians. According to him, every child in the country must have access to quality education.
Young people must be afforded the skills needed in order to find gainful employment. Proper health care must be available to all our people. These are not just nice statements to stand here and say. These are goals, realistic goals that we must strive every day to meet. Our people's lives depend on it. Ghana's future depends on it.
The president also assured Ghanaians that his government will ensure the ideals of the founding fathers of the country are followed to the letter by providing the basic necessities to build a decent life for every citizen. This year's Independence Day celebration is on the theme, building a better and prosperous Ghana through patriotism and national unity.
Elsewhere, the paramount chief of Tamale, Gulpe Na Al-Hassan Abdullah, and his sub-chiefs have vowed to henceforth boycott all government functions till the Northern Region Coordinating Council renders an unqualified apology for disrespecting them. This was after the chiefs were frustrated from entering the Jubilee Park in Tamale for the Northern Region's Independence Day celebration.
According to spokesperson for the chiefs, Alhaji Latif Sahana, they were denied entry because the security men said they were late. He said they were then asked to use another entrance. The paramount chief was expected to join the regional minister to take the salute from the school children on the parade ground, and yet could not convince the security men to grant them access despite their pleas.
Right at the entrance here, there's supposed to be some markers so that no vehicle parks there. So before we left, there was traffic right from the Jubilee Junction up to the palace. So, and there was no escort for us. So before we meandered through the traffic to get to the field, it was about, we were there about 10 minutes late. 10 minutes late. But the security men that were on the parade ground said they wouldn't allow us to enter. So if we could use an alternative route that was about just from 90 degrees of the field, was it 120 degrees of the field. So I told them that why don't they just allow the chief, the Chona and some others to just go, they will alight and the vehicles will go and pass. He said no.
The traditional leaders were at some point advised to disembark from their vehicles and walk to the parade grounds, but they declined and boycotted the event altogether. The spokesperson says the chiefs later on converged at a meeting where the decision was taken to extend their boycott to all other government functions until an apology is rendered.
The Regional Coordinating Council, the Metro Assembly, for that matter, the security agencies do not want to see the chief at any of their occasions. So we have resolved that we will never attend any meeting or any function organized by the Regional Coordinating Council and the Metropolitan Assembly. And they have to apologize. They must apologize.
Hashmin Mohammed's report.
We have more Independence Day celebrations from across the country coming up after the break. Stay tuned. The 2012 presidential candidate of the New Patriotic Party, Nana Akufo-Addo, has assured the party supporters he will soon communicate his decision on taking another shot at the flag bearership slot after consulting the Council of Elders. Nana Akufo-Addo said this when some party executives who called on him at his residence asked about his plans for the 2016 general elections.
Nana Akufo-Addo arrived from the United Kingdom on Wednesday, March 5, after spending 6 months outside Ghana. He left town weeks after losing the petition challenging results of the 2012 presidential elections, and so party executives as well as supporters had thronged his residence to welcome him. The Greater Accra Regional Chairman, in the company of other party executives, petitioned Nana Akufo-Addo to return as the party's presidential candidate for the 2016 elections. Nana Akufo-Addo, in response, assured him that will be communicated after his consultations with the Council of Elders.
I'm going to do the amanier with the leaders and the elders of the party. Yes, yes, absolutely. I'm going to do that. Yes. And when that has been done, I'll announce my decision. But I believe it's a decision that will help the party, the decision that will help the country. To your question is, in a short while, you'll hear a full answer. But it'll be a good one, I promise you that.
Speaking on what he makes of the president's plan to implement the free senior high school program, Nana Akufo-Addo said he is glad President John Mahama has realized the need for Ghanaians to enjoy that policy, and that is a step in the right direction.
For the country, I think all that we're doing is not for oneself, it's for the people of Ghana. That the leaders and the two main political parties are now in agreement on the particulars of the policies. It's a good thing for our country. So that's how I felt. Far from it being unrealistic and unnecessary, which we've been told before, the President himself has now come to the conclusion that it's something that is doable and is going to start it in this time. I think these are very positive.
Nana Akufo-Addo also urged party members to remain united in efforts to win the 2016 election. Matilda Pamaga for Joy News, Accra.
Now, fire has gutted part of the boys' dormitory of the Laura Senior High School at Laura in the Upper West region. The fire is suspected to have been caused by an electrical fault whilst the students were at prep, destroyed property worth thousands of Ghana cedis. Rafiq Salam's report.
The fire started around 8:15 p.m. when the students were attending night prep. Upon hearing the news, the students rushed to the scene but could not save the situation. The students lost all their belongings. Items destroyed included mattresses, beds, chop boxes, personal belongings and educational materials. Personnel of the Ghana National Fire Service were able to douse the fire after close to 3 hours. The headmaster of the school, E.K. Puviel, said the school will find a way to assist the affected students.
Surplus uniform in the stores, and that is what we have readily mobilized to give to them. We have also acquired some textbooks, exercise books and notebooks to help them at least copy their notes.
Meanwhile, the Laura District Director of Education, in the company of some district officials, have visited the school to assess the extent of damage caused by the fire. The fire service say they will investigate the cause of the fire, but hinted it might be as a result of an electrical fault.
Almost everything in one unit were destroyed, so they protected the fire from spreading to the other side. So that is what actually happened. This morning we went back to the place to do our investigation. We were able to prevent the other building from burning.
Rafiq Salam's report from Laura in the Upper West region.
Now back to our Independence Day story. School children and personnel from the security services in the Eastern region also converged at the forecourt of Jackson Park to mark the 57th Independence anniversary, also in very soggy weather. And here again, the school children and other security services contingent defied the rain to ensure a successful celebration. In the Shama district of the Western region, about 582 pupils and students drawn from 18 schools in the district took part in the 57th Independence Day Parade. The Shama District Director of Education, Nana Bosman, entreated Ghanaians to make a sober reflection on the theme of the 57th Independence Day celebration and contribute their quota towards a better and more developed Ghana. The DCE for Shama, Enoch Kojo Apia, on his part attributed the challenges confronting the nation to poor management of resources, poor maintenance culture, corruption, greed, indiscipline, among others, especially on the part of leaders and citizens. At Odumasi in the Sunyani West District of the Brunhafu region, the District Chief Executive for the area, Agnes Kusi, used the 57th anniversary parade to advise the youth to emulate the virtues of selflessness and dedication of their forebears who fought for the country.
Selected students and pupils from schools across Odumasi dressed smartly to take part in the 57th anniversary parade at Odumasi Methodist Park. The occasion was also witnessed by heads of departments, parents, as well as the Odumasi Traditional Council. Most of the audience applauded the students and pupils for displaying unique marching skills. Delivering her address, the DCE for the area, Agnes Kusi, noted that even though the country gained independence 57 years ago, the sense of nationalism among the youth in particular has dissolved into thin air. She therefore called on traditional and opinion leaders, teachers and religious leaders, among others, to help deepen the awareness of patriotism among the youth. Schools that exhibited exceptional skills in the March past received awards for their efforts.
A senior citizen in Tamale, Alhaji Ibrahim Mahama, says patriotism in the country has died down compared with the pre-colonial period, especially preceding 6 March 1957. He was speaking in an exclusive interview with our Northern Regional correspondent Mohammed Ashmin in Tamale.
There is a new African in the world.
Alhaji Ibrahim Mahama said the kind of passion Dr. Kwame Nkrumah and his fellow patriots used in fighting to gain independence for Ghana cannot be seen in the present generation of the country.
I only can say that today, the level of patriotism that we had at that time has waned a great deal. Not much patriotism can be seen. People are also interested of their own tummies, their stomach. They are not thinking of the advancement of the nation as a whole. We will urge the younger generation to work and also leave something behind.
He recalled how, as a student in 1957, he and his friends stayed close to the school's radio set where they received the news of Ghana's independence as declared by Dr. Kwame Nkrumah.
At the time, I was 22 years old and I was in secondary school. On that particular day, we had radio boxes. There were 3 radio boxes in our school. Everybody stood by his radio box to hear the Declaration of Independence. Everybody was delighted. Everybody felt so happy. So we all jumped around and said that from then on, Ghana was independent and we wanted to enjoy the fruits of independence.
There is a new African in the world.
The Northern Region will have 15 of the first batch of 50 senior high schools being built in fulfillment of President John Mahama's campaign promise. The Regional Minister Beat Ziding is therefore urging educationists in the region to take advantage and improve the poor performance of pupils and students over the years. This was his message during the regional commemoration of Ghana's 57th independence anniversary. Gifty Ando Apia was there and has the rest of the story.
Unlike the capital Accra, Tamale was humid. The occasion, preceded by poetry recital, cultural displays and gymnastics, brought together 8 contingents representing security services in the country. The Air Force, Armed Forces, the Fire Service, the Immigration and Prison Services, as well as the Ghana Police Service. Beat Ziding said bringing 15 of the schools to the region is indicative of government's determination to improve education there.
President of the Republic of Ghana, John Dramani Mahama, cut the sword for the commencement of work on the first batch of 50 community senior high schools to be built across the country. I am glad to mention that 15 out of the 50 will be constructed in the Northern Region. And we need to challenge ourselves as educational authorities, teachers, traditional rulers, communities, and school pupils. All of us should demonstrate the needed concern for the future of our children's education.
He called for all hands on deck to improve development, which has for a long time eluded the 3 regions in the north due to conflicts.
There are very important lessons to be learned, especially by the current generation, from the struggle towards independence. If we are united, we can work in a concerted manner to overcome all the challenges that confront us as a people. And for us in this region, the clarion call to unity cannot be underestimated. The region generally, despite the few occasional ignitions, has remained relatively peaceful in recent times, and most people would testify that they feel more safe going to bed today than before. Indeed, there are still volatile issues which we must not allow to escalate.
11 primary schools, 12 junior high schools and 11 senior high schools, as well as 11 voluntary organizations, including the Red Cross Society of Ghana, were represented at the parade. The Ghana Senior High School emerged winners in senior high category, while the Police Barracks Primary School took home the best award for the primary category. For Joy News, Gifty Ando Apia, Jubilee Park, Tamale.
Ladies and gentlemen.
Well, some of the dignitaries who took part in the celebrations in the northern region have been speaking about the country's independence so far.
We have a peaceful and stable country. We have a country that is making a lot of progress in terms of governance and also economic development. So there's a lot to celebrate. And Ghanaians should be grateful for that. Challenges are global. They are global. And Ghana is just having a fair share of these problems. So as much as we are having challenges, we also should endeavor to work hard or harder so that together we can solve our problems. I think that we have come far. I think that as Ghanaians, we should be proud of ourselves and what we have achieved. Other countries, if you go to Niger and Benin and other places, they don't even have a quarter of what we have. So I think that we have really come far.
The best thing to celebrate is the peace we're enjoying here. Without peace, I don't think this interview could have come on. So peace is a priceless gift to everybody. And we in the north, you know, we are always noted for some of these problems. So we are happy that for some time now, there is perfect peace in the area. We do not have these open confrontations as we had in the past. And so for me, I think that that is a very good sign. If you listen to the president this morning, we all have our rights and our responsibilities. And so if you demand something from the government, you must also intend do what will make it possible for government to be able to give you what you want.
Thank you.
And that's why we want everybody to be on board.
Up next, we bring you business news.
Time now for some business reports on the very independent day. My name is Abigail Atumakunchi. Now, Thursday's downpour at the Independence Parade brought misery to not only the organizers, dignitaries and marching contingents, as traders and other vendors also took quite a hit. The anticipated business boom turned out to be gloom. Not everyone, though, is blaming it on the rain. Joy News reporter Emmanuel has been engaging some traders on Independence Parade business.
Has indicated some good trading will take place, considering the number of people who will normally troop to the Independence Square to witness activities. And for the food vendors, photographers and Independence paraphernalia dealers, business was quite good until the dark clouds began to pour rain. Apparently, the one forecast they failed to consider in their planning. This lady lamented how the loan she had taken to turn around on Independence Day could land her in debt now. Samuel Abe's horse, though ready to offer rights and make his master some good money, has largely been enjoying the Independence holiday.
Maybe the rain that we can't work out, so we are trying to work. So
how much have you made so far today?
Oh, 10 cities.
How much is a ride if you take a ride around?
It's 1 city.
Oh, okay. So it means you've only had about 10 people to ride it?
Yes.
Kwabena Efa, a photographer, told Joy News with few smiles to capture, he is ruined.
Rain has spoiled everything, but it's not rain, Bianca. The time on God, cash you snap something, but everything is big like this.
Though the rains played key role, there were those who also attributed the poor sales to the current economic storm the country is caught up in. It wasn't all gloom though, as these food vendors were quite satisfied with their sales, even though they say it could have been better. In spite of the rain in our business, and so far, how much have you made so far? Is your note or any BBI who compare this year to last year? No, near in
oh, this year and last year, dear. Last year, you are in this year.
I was no move to me to idea.
Didn't you?
I see, is kind.
The general vibe and the body language we are picking from traders here indicates that this year's business has been very, very slow as compared to last year. and it's all being blamed on the downpour this morning. Emmanuel reporting for Joy News.
Well, rain or no rain, some form of business went on, and I'm sure some people had something in their pockets. Away from the independent, acting chief executive of the Ghana Trade Fair Company Limited, Nana Kwame Furiamanfu has debunked assertions that fairs organized by the company have lost their relevance as the low patronage they enjoy from the public. According to him, the fair is to afford businesses the opportunity to network and exchange business ideas and not necessarily sell.
Fair project conceived by government in the 1960s was a direct response to the massive industrialization and infrastructural development projects embarked on by government after the attainment of independence. The project, which birthed the International Trade Fair, has over the years drawn hundreds of people from all walks of life to patronize made-in-Ghana goods. Many, however, for several reasons, have in recent years lost interest in the fair.
In those days, we talk about trade fair. It's a place you love to go shopping or even do window shopping or take the family and friends along. But these days, the place is not nice. Even sometimes the price in the trade fair is higher than in town. If you go to Okaishi or Makola, things are cheaper compared to the trade fair. That's how I see it.
People are moving from Accra to other places like Amasaman, Kasua, and then because that place, the area, utilities are less. The expenses are less. The expenses on utilities are less. So I think it should be located in different areas, not necessarily trade fair. I mean, I personally live at Kasua, and it would be very difficult for me to come all the way from Kasua to trade fair to shop. That's why I wouldn't waste time and come there.
But for the company in charge, the trade fair has rather grown bigger, and the idea behind it has metamorphosed with changing trends.
We were living in a state of scarcity. Things were difficult to come by, avenues were not there, so people were looking out for trade fairs when trade fairs come, so that people will troop in and buy whatever they need, their household items. Ghana has moved from that stage because wherever you are, you have access to all these facilities, all these amenities. That is what we're trying to educate the people, that we organize the fairs not as a sales program, not as a consumer fair, but it's a promotion of business. We are forming new alliances, face-to-face discussions, B2B meetings, establish contacts, establish joint ventures. That is the main purpose of exhibition. So even though you come, that you see that people are not there in their thousands as they used to be, and yet business is taking place.
He added they will organize fairs for Ghanaians seeking to enjoy discounts on goods. Nana Kwame Furiamanfu meanwhile says the ongoing 18th Ghana International Trade Fair is to enable Ghana showcase and promote exportable products and services with a view of attracting investors. Abigail Adumakunchi for Joy News.
On that note, I'll say happy birthday to Ghana. My name is Abigail Adumakunchi, and that's it for business.
Before we bring you showbiz, whilst we've been on air, there's been some fireworks display in commemoration of the country's 57th Independence Day anniversary. We captured some of it for your viewing pleasure. Okay, so we're trying to bring you some of the, okay, there it goes. And this happened at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle, which is very close by. All right, Ghanaian music has over the years gone through a series of changes which have not only affected the genre of music produced, but the names of the genres as well. Nyankofi Smart Abbey chronicles the musical journey of Ghana.
Ghana, we now have freedom. Ghana, land of freedom. Soils of the brave and the sweat of their labors.
Ghana attained independence at a time when highlife music was the dominant genre. Ghanaian music has evolved over the years. It has gone through several phases, from even the time when we had traditional music through to when we started having contemporary music, and even what we have now as hip life or even GH rap. But how did it all start for Ghana music?
We have always had music of our own, music practiced by the various ethnic groups. They are all varieties of African music if you take the wider continent, because they have certain things in common.
Although highlife happens to be the country's biggest export, the genre has over the years metamorphosed into another adaptation in recent years.
The early highlife is not the same as the highlife that succeeded it. And the highlife of UK and so forth is not the same as the highlife of today.
But highlife music has not always been in the dance halls. According to Professor Emeritus Nketia, it featured prominently in the works of the late renowned Ghanaian composer, Dr. Ephraim Amu.
Highlife was already, in the community. So Amu took it and he composed Mawani Sutra Uhushia Wanije Bromoso Nifani Penkum Babiara It's highlife too, not only the other one. Quite a few of his compositions used the highlife style.
But highlife soon got an offshoot, a brand new genre called hiplife, birthed by the man Reggie Rockstone. The fast-paced music type is a blend of highlife rhythms laced with rap verses. But fast forward to the year 2010, and the young crop of Ghanaian musicians appear to be shying away from traditional music, a development Professor Emeritus Nketia says is natural. Somewhere along the line in the history of music in Ghana, two genres of music were introduced, reggae and dancehall. Surprisingly, the latter, dancehall, seems to be gaining a cult following in the country.
Reggae originally from the roots from Africa, where even the Jamaicans say it started with kete, Ashantis, when they play the kete music, the adwa, that's where the reggae started,
In spite of the soaring popularity of dancehall music in Ghana, Afro Moses thinks Ghanaian musicians will do themselves some good if they rebranded the music genre.
I love the dancehall thing, but if they can put maybe dance pop or dance Africa, I would love Dance Africa. Would be great.
We have our own form of
Dance Africa hall music. You see, that would be great than say dance hall, because the Jamaicans are created already, and the Jamaicans, when they come here, they want to see us with using our drum and doing even modernized, doing something. They find it very interesting than we copying them.
So, how would Ghanaian music sound like a decade or two from now?
It will be difficult to say exactly what it will be. We can only talk about trends, because these young men who are doing rap and so forth will grow up, and as they grow up, they'll begin to assume some of the habits of older people.
Like Professor Emeritus Nketia, Afro Moses thinks the current form of Ghanaian music will fade away in about 30 years.
Oh, it's going to be something different. Let me tell you, every 30 years things happen. Every 30 years things happen, so it won't be like that.
Already, many young Ghanaian musicians are being creative with the names for the type of music they create. Do not be surprised if the sound also changes to something a little like this.
As part of the celebration of the Independence Day, members of the Ghana's Actors Guild staged a reenactment of the Declaration of Independence Day at the Kwame Nkrumah Mausoleum Wednesday night.
It was a nostalgic moment when some members of the Ghana Actors Guild acted out what happened on the eve of 6th of March 1957. After showcasing the rich Ghanaian culture and dance, followed by the Declaration of Freedom by Osajifo Dr. Kwame Nkrumah, a role played by Ghanaian veteran actor David Donto.
And that's how we end Showbiz for tonight. Well, in sports, Ghana's coach Kwesi Appiah made contact with Milovan Rajevac to play an advisory role for the Black Stars team at the 2014 World Cup in Brazil. And then German-born Ghana international Kevin Prince Boateng has revealed that Black Stars will etch their names in the history books at this year's FIFA World Cup finals. Kevin Prince Boateng says despite the loss last night to Montenegro, he's still looking forward to Ghana progressing into the medal zone for the first time by an African representative. The 27-year-old was instrumental in Ghana's quarter-final feat at the last World Cup finals in South Africa, and he's confident they can go far. And that'll be all for sports. All right, so we're bringing you more from the fireworks that's happening at the Kwame Nkrumah Circle in commemoration of the country's 57th independence anniversary. That's it for the bulletin. Before we go, though, a quick run through our top stories. President Mahama has described the 57th Independence Day parade as the most eventful, following the disruption by rain, leaving many, including hundreds of school children, drenched. The president, meanwhile, is continuing to urge Ghanaians to patronize made-in-Ghana goods. In Tamale, in the northern region, the paramount chief has vowed to boycott all government functions after he was frustrated from entering the region's parade grounds. The NPP's 2012 flag bearer, Nana Akufo-Addo, has assured party supporters he will soon communicate his decision on whether to run for the party's flag bearership slot for 2016. And we have been tracing the evolution of music of Ghanaian origin, from high life to hip life and beyond in showbiz. That's it. My name is Delali. Have a good evening.